Hello, everyone. Name is Max Aaron James, and based off the title, you can tell what we're talking about. So, Drake and 21 Savage dropped an album, Her Loss. I want to do a review for that on my other channel. I'll have a link to that channel in the description. Project's only been out for about 3 days, and I was gonna wait to really discuss this, but I feel that potentially this is gonna be forgotten and disappear after a week. Maybe unfortunately, maybe fortunately, up to perspective. But it's something everyone's talking about, everyone has an opinion on, including myself, and I have a YouTube channel, so why not? What I will say about the project so far, listening to it for only 3 days, and I've only listened to it twice. It's fun, it's entertaining. It is something you're hear in clubs, at parties. It has, as expected, quotables, like things you'll see on IG captions, tweeted, has some catchy lines, and because of that, and because we know how fickle people's morals or ethics are in this culture, we're going to hear this music, and we're going to have music videos coming out later on, and they're going to be specific post-release singles coming out that may trickle into maybe spring of next year. We'll see what happens, but based off what we've seen in the past, the thing is, for me, with Drake specifically, 21 Savage, he outshines Drake whenever he's actually on the project. It felt more like Drake featuring 21 Savage. But when Drake raps, he continues to prove to me in just that he has not grown at all since he has been introduced to the masses at age 22, 23. He's 36 years old now and still lacks most self-awareness that you would expect someone his age to have, or you would want someone his age to have. When you have so much money, when you are this rich and a cis man, but particularly this rich, you don't need to grow. You are not expected to really mature, and you do not have to because of the privileges and advantages you are given, that you can get away with it because the money makes up for it. And, it doesn't really make up for it as far as whether you're a good person, and money tends to highlight who you really are. But what I'm saying, he does not need to grow because he has money, so he can take care of himself. If someone fires him from a job because he doesn't need any other job, if someone doesn't want to be with him because he can find someone that wants to be with him strictly because he has money, or he can pay someone to be with him. Same with the entourage and friends. You can buy friends when you have the money that he has. And as far as him being probably some of the most toxic artists and people, not many people want to admit that, but he's shown that in previous projects, all the way back to Marvin's Room in particular. We ate that stuff up. We, and I'm including myself, played that song so much in parties, clubs, in the car, singing the hook, and that random line that he raps at the end that made no sense in relation to the rest of the song. It's about him hitting on a woman who's with someone while he's drunk, and it's that late night text or call when you are intoxicated of someone that you miss or want to be with, or you never had an opportunity with because they're with someone else, and you're dirty macking now. This is one of those tracks that shows how insecure, toxic, and immature he is, and he hasn't changed. He talks about now what he talked about in his early 20s, about not willing to commit, not wanting to commit because he's incapable of it due to his immaturity, lack of openness, not wanting to trust someone. It's a bunch of excuses to not open up to someone. But because this is seemingly open and emotional, this attracts a type of person. It's the idea of I can be that change because he's emotional. I can get him to really open up. But that's just a play. That's just a manipulative tactic to get these women to give themselves up to him, for him to use and exploit. It's something that many men do. Again, he has not been able to develop any self-awareness or growth, and he acts as if he is not an attractive, fit, light-skinned, wealthy individual, and of course mix that with the illusion of actually being emotional. He makes music that is faux deep, that is fake emotional, fake open, and women that gravitate towards this music, whether it be catchy, it's singy, it's catchy, it's about emotions and romance, even if it's not real. And his audience, a lot of his audience is because of women. You can't lose when you have the woman's ear. And an example of that are prior beefs. You can't lose when women are supporting your music more than anyone else's, particularly brown and black women. Issa even jokes about this in the show Insecure, her character Issa D, about black women that went to college just loving Drake and that Drake understands them. And speaking about the music that is mostly just to get plays in the club, only women are going to be singing Broke Boy. If you heard the track, you know what I mean. Because most men I don't see being comfortable enough or secure enough to sing the hook to Broke Boy. Again, it's been, 14, 15 years since his debut to the masses, and it's the same content. You're 36 with a child and have gained this mass amount of wealth to where you're basically a superstar, and nothing's changed as far as what you discuss and what you talk about. And when you have those tracks, those glimpses, those moments of speaking about your upbringing and connections with certain relatives, your uncle, father, mother, and to make people feel that you've developed and grown this self-awareness, but it's only temporary, because I think it's a moment of where you feel like you've made this step forward in progressing, but you end up reverting back to your old ways. A good recent example to look at is season 4, episode 2 of Atlanta, where one of the main characters goes to therapy and feels after this single breakthrough, their life issues and their inappropriate and harmful negative behaviors have all been resolved, and that they're good to go with the rest of their life, and so they stop going to therapy. That's not how healing works. Also, I believe he's exploiting the love that brown and black women give him, seemingly, at least publicly, the biggest supporting demographic of his. Now, I'm not going to say he has to date a black woman. You do not have to date a black woman to be pro-black. I do not believe that, or a black man, whomever. But with your prior actions and what people see, it's tough to know whether you're actually in support of, this group that really supports you and has love for you and that deserves much more than what we as a society give them. And you being someone who, one of the very few artists that get as much love from this community, do not show that love back or express any gratitude towards them. Another example of him not growing is he's acting again the same way at 23 as he does at 35, is the ASAP and Rihanna thing. I mean, who does that, unfollowing two people that are dating at 35? But then this goes into about men and how men are. There's a joke of, there are multiple tweets, people reuse them, and memes going around jokingly about, it's joking about men will get their heart broken at 15 and carry that on for the rest of their relationships. Some of the best jokes have truth in them. Maybe it is ego that us men have. I am not entirely sure, but it is true. I used to be like that. It's because of maybe having to be a man or maintain this masculinity, this idea of masculinity, not looking for healing or growth beyond that. Maybe it's this entitlement, again, with the ego in this patriarchal society, to that you are entitled to this person, to this individual. So when you are hurt emotionally, for one, you don't express it. So now that just sticks around with you. Secondly, why is this person hurting me the way they are when I am who I am? You end up carrying that for a while and hold it against people. It is important to journal or take moments to actually self-reflect, multiple moments to self-reflect, go to therapy. 3 things I am currently all doing. Did I say that right? I am currently doing all 3 of those things. And it is helpful. It has helped me heal with certain things, express certain behaviors, expose certain ideas that I have. And it's helped a lot. What a lot of men do is show just enough surface level emotions that are seemingly deep. Maybe they word it well, or it's something that not many people express. And it leads to someone believing that they are an emotional person, that they go beyond surface level, but really they're not. And what's crazy is that he's explicitly always told us and shown us that he is incapable of committing to someone or being faithful to someone and loyal to one individual. And yet we continue to eat it up and ignore that he is not suitable for most people. We can respect the honesty of him saying this, but we need to move on. And I've done all this talking about just Drake as a person, right? And seeing that he hasn't grown at all. Haven't even gotten to what's really going on. On the track Circo Loco, on the project Her Loss from Drake and 21 Savage, Drake says, the bee lying, but she's still a stallion. No, Drake says the bee lie about getting shots, but she's still a shot. Drake says the bee lie about getting shots, but she's still a stallion. On the surface level, you can tell that this is saying that the woman who has a big butt got some shots, right, in her butt to make it look bigger. And although it is not natural, Drake is still finding her attractive and still considers her a stallion and a very attractive woman and sexy, and he wants to be with her. That's on surface level, but this is clearly a double entendre, clearly a joke. And if it wasn't, then the second part, the bar that follows, wouldn't really make sense. It is a double because it is clearly a reference to the incident that happened with Megan Thee Stallion. If you do not know, I'd say do your research. Go. I think it's important for you to take your time to educate yourself on anything that you really want to know about and learn about. So I'm not going to really get into that, what happened. Plus, it's happened relatively long ago, so I feel that most people would have heard about it. Now, it is clearly a reference to that, clearly a double entendre or punchline to that. I do not know necessarily what you would consider it. I'd say just double entendre. Anyone that thinks otherwise, you're fighting so hard to defend Drake. Otherwise, whether you are defending Drake, whether you're against him, whether you're in the middle, it's a clear reference. Whether you, even if you think people are taking it too far over, or exaggerating the impact of this line, you know that it's clearly a reference. Now, you may not have the awareness that someone over 30 is expected to have, or that we want someone over 30 to have, but he is not stupid. He's a rapper. He's been writing for a minute. Some rappers could be English teachers. Now, with all that negative thing, with all the cons I said about Drake, let me speak on to the people that are attacking Drake and that are really, going out of their way to say certain things about him on Twitter. This is rap. Rap, or the culture in general, has always been known for having these issues within it. Very homophobic, very capitalist, very colorist, and very misogynistic. Rappers have discussed attacking women, assaulting women in any way that you could think of, have made punchlines and jokes regarding that relate to Janae Palmer, or lines similar to something like Ike Turner. There have been rhymes about Solange attacking Jay. Those we pretty much joked about and laughed at because it is a woman attacking a man, which is still an issue, but that's a whole other discussion. Even recent rappers have made many jokes that could be seen as problematic, but because they're not at the level as Drake, it is not addressed in the same way, or at least it's not hitting our feeds the way this is. Artists are still using homophobic and transphobic language, talking about harming women and using women, and having colorist remarks. This is nothing new, and so this is expected, and this is not something that would necessarily lead me to just disregard Drake. I have other issues with Drake in general, but this is not something that would lead me to just say, okay, I'm completely done with him. I'm kind of pretty much done with him for a collection of reasons. Now, maybe this was like the last one for more reasons than just it being a line about what happened, and I'll get to that. course, back to the Riri and ASAP thing, Drake is known to hold a grudge. Reportedly, he's holding a grudge towards Megan and Ice Spice because both allegedly, he made a pass at both of them and both declined. Supposedly. We do not really know. Regarding Rihanna and ASAP, we've seen them flirting around. I'm talking about Drake and Rihanna back in the early 2010s. And they made a couple tracks together. They were seen out together. Supposedly they were dating, or at least just hooking up. And that ended easily like 5 years ago, right? If not more. And you have, Drake has this supposed admiration and attraction to Rihanna, yet went on to make a track with Chris Brown, who, we know what happened between Chris and Rihanna. What I'm saying is that we've allowed Drake, like many other artists, to get away with so many things. Even Chris Brown himself, after what happened, we continue to listen to his music. And it's not till maybe 2 or 3 years ago that people started saying why, started really asking, why are we still listening to this and why are we still supporting this? Drake is not the only artist who is still supporting Chris Brown, and not the only person who's helping Chris Brown get the money that he's getting. But that Chris Brown track, we played it a lot. The music video, we laughed at it, we joked about it, we referenced it. We played the tracks in clubs and cars, at parties, just staying at home. We were playing that song a lot. And even with all that he's done in the past and continues to do, we still unifyingly continue to allow him to grow in his monetary gains and in his reputation, especially the communities or demographic that he seemingly has no support for or doesn't acknowledge ever. At least not publicly. I'm just speaking off what we see. Now for the Drake stans that trying really hard to defend Drake. As an offender, you do not get to tell the offended what they can and cannot be offended by. We shouldn't tell other people what they should care about or what should matter to them, just as much we wouldn't want someone else to tell us what we should care about and what matters to us. Now, something may not offend us, and if you want to continue to support Drake or any artist for what they say, go ahead. But do not become a bully and tell other people that they're being sensitive. Telling someone they're sensitive just does not necessarily mean that they are sensitive. It just means you are insensitive. You are lacking any compassion, any empathy, any consideration of how other people may feel, because not everyone feels the same way as you or takes things the same way as you. People can be offended by something that may not offend you, just like someone else may not be offended by something that you take to heart and that you are hurt by. Stop mocking others for being hurt. As a rap fan or a fan of the genre and music overall, and taking it surface level, it's just a bar. It's just another line amongst many others that many people are hurt by. But I still support those who are wanting to address it and speak on it and that choose to no longer support Drake. I'm all, in support of that. I have nothing to say to you. I mean, as far as Drake, like I said, I have other reasons why I do not like him. That is pretty much all that I can remember I have to say. I'm sure I missed some things. I'm sure there are things that I'm going to think about later, things that I wanted to insert in between these topics, which were pretty scattered, to be honest. I wanted to just get this out as soon as possible, especially because I really feel that this may not last very long. People have done worse or said worse, and we've gave them passes. They've continued to be successful in many other things, many other ventures, and even the same people that attack artists or have an issue with artists in that moment go back to listening to their stuff. R. Kelly is an example, Chris Brown is an example, and people still are in support of OJ and Bill Cosby. Many people are still defending Louis C.K. and Kevin Spacey. I saw a tweet that someone said that Drake, everything's going to come out about Drake within the next few years. What that means, I do not know. There are many rumors, conspiracies and stuff going on. I don't really dig too deep into that, and I not care enough to really research it. This whole video is strictly based on the music that I've listened to and my incredibly entertaining Twitter feed. If you are that much invested to figure out what's going on, go do your research. I'm not going to because I do not care enough about that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. What did I miss? What else do you have to say about this? I probably didn't say a lot of things well. Also, I don't think the bar itself is a dig at Megan Thee Stallion. Not at all. It is just a reference to what happened. You know, black women deserve better. And for someone like Drake to never had really seemed to support black women, to then say something like this is a bit crazy. And I mean, he has a white mother, dated white women, or at least probably just light-skinned women, has a white passing child at the moment who looks more like Ice Spice than his actual mother. He's in a tough situation. I did see another joke, someone saying that if Megan responded to Drake, it would be anti-Semitic. And I thought that was one of the funniest things that I've read in a while on Twitter. Now, the depth of that joke is regarding to the Ye and Kyrie situation, which I will also not get into. Go ahead and do your research on that. Anyway, y'all take care. Check up on one another. Check up on yourself. Take some time to grow. Take some time to journal. Do some self-reflecting. Check up on each other. Check up on yourself. Make sure you're doing what you can to help people and uplift people. Be self-aware. I don't know. I'm a Drake hater, to be honest, because I really don't like where he's gone. And I was a teenager when he first debuted to the masses, when I was first introduced to him. I was in high school. So his music, the toxicity, the emotional young boy thing, I got it. The partying, I got it. I'm about 8 years younger than him, and I can't listen to a lot of the stuff he says or talks about. The music he makes is, again, something I just listen to it in the club because it might be catchy. I feel Tyler, the Creator, who is 29, has more growth, maturity, and self-awareness, and is more secure with himself than Drake has ever shown himself to be. Until next time.